Hello, welcome to the 2011 through 2012 NFL regular season schedule week 15 picks, part 2 of 2, between Dallas at Tampa Bay at 7:20 Central Time on NFL Network. This appears to be a game that the Cowboys can dominate at first glance, as Romo and the Dallas wide receivers shouldn't encounter a whole lot of difficulty finding and attacking weak spots in a lackluster Tampa Bay defense that doesn't possess much of a pass rush, and the Buccaneers have been turning the ball over in bunches as of late. However, the Cowboys have not performed well on the road this season, with both of their 2 victories as the visitor coming in overtime, and Tampa Bay should have some motivation here with a rare opportunity to play on national TV and the bad taste that remains from a losing streak that has gone on for nearly 2 months. Look for an inspired Buccaneers team to play much better than last week and hang tough throughout, but ultimately make one too many costly mistakes, and that will be the difference between winning and losing. Cowboys 27, Buccaneers 13. At 12 o'clock Central Time on CBS, it's Miami at Buffalo. A change in leadership shouldn't have much of an effect on the Dolphins' on-field play off the bat, as Miami has most certainly been the superior of these 2 participants over the past 6 weeks, and easily handled a Buffalo team that's in complete disarray a month ago. The Bills' offensive funk stands a good chance of continuing against the Dolphins' defense that has gotten its act together following a bad start, while Miami shouldn't have too much trouble establishing an effective running game against a porous Buffalo group that also can't pressure the passer. Bolus may have the perfect foe to make a good first impression on both his present and possibly future employers, as the Dolphins appear to possess clear advantages in a number of important areas. Dolphins 24, Bills 13. At 12 o'clock Central Time on Fox, it's Seattle at Chicago. With neither of these participants fielding explosive offenses and the Bears especially struggling to put up points in Haney's starts, expect a tightly played contest that will likely hinge on a few key plays. Chicago is going to need to be both resilient and creative to overcome the injuries to Cutler and Forte, but unfortunately has a pair of players capable of making a sizable impact in the incomparable Hester and ultra-clutch kicker Robbie Gould, who has 6 of 6 on field goal attempts of 50 yards or beyond and is more than capable of preventing Lynch or putting together another massive outburst. Chicago seems to have the ingredients necessary to getting back on the winning track as long as it's not littered with breakdowns and mistakes. Other than a home upset of Baltimore last month, Seattle's strong run hasn't exactly come against the stiffest of competition, and a matchup on the road against a desperate and determined opponent could prove to be a more difficult challenge for Carroll's group to navigate. Bears 16, Seahawks 10. At 12 o'clock Central Time on CBS, it's Tennessee at Indianapolis. Connoisseurs of the trap game theory might look twice at this one, with the inconsistent Titans hitting the road, perhaps with a rookie or a third-string quarterback, against a skidding foe while in the midst of a playoff run. But even with Locker or Smith at the helm, it seems Johnson's presence alone would be enough to tip the scales toward the presumably more talented visitors. Titans 24, Colts 14. At 12 o'clock Central Time on Fox, it's Green Bay at Kansas City. The Chiefs will have a different look than what they've shown over the course of the season, and it's reasonable to believe both the insertion of Orton and the more relaxed atmosphere that Cornell will bring, as opposed to the stern and demanding Haley, can pay some immediate benefits. It's not going to change the Packers' customary results, however. Kansas City will still be hard-pressed to keep the defending world champions from nearing their normal offensive output, and there's little debate that the Chiefs don't have anywhere near the firepower to keep up in a high-scoring affair. The final 2 games will offer a better indicator of whether Kansas City's modifications will lead to an overall improvement, as the Packers are simply in another class. Packers 34, Chiefs 20. At 12 o'clock Central Time on CBS, it's Cincinnati at St. Louis. The Bengals are now in a dogfight for their playoff lives, giving them extra motivation for this weekend's favored matchup. The defense will be looking for a bounce-back effort versus the Rams, who don't really have the offense right now to challenge the talented unit. Benson should get plenty of work to take some pressure off of Dalton, or Bradford could be looking up at the Edward Jones Dome roof for a good portion of the game. Bengals 23, Rams 13. At 12 o'clock Central Time on Fox, it's New Orleans at Minnesota. The Saints are on a mission for another NFC South title and will not get a lowly Vikings team get in the way of their plans. Though anything can happen in the NFL, having Breeze turn in a clunker on Sunday is unthinkable. Minnesota, unfortunately, has had some trouble this season when it comes to dealing with elite quarterbacks. And it's almost certain Breeze will dissect the secondary with another 300-yard, 20-completion performance. Minnesota rarely retreats within the friendly confines of the Metrodome, but a determined Saints squad has the firepower to change that. Saints 27, Vikings 13. At 12 o'clock Central Time on Fox, it's Washington at the New York Giants. The Giants are on a mission right now and look to gather the same team that led them to a Super Bowl title back in 2007 through 2008. Things have not gone as planned at home recently for them, however, and now's the time to start playing well with all of their last 3 games scheduled at MetLife Stadium, though they'll be the visitor against the Jets. New York will have some trouble defensively against a Redskins team that has nothing to play for, but in the end, Big Blue will send Washington back home with another loss. Giants 20, Redskins 13. At 12 o'clock Central Time on Fox, it's Carolina at Houston. The Houston Texans look like they might never lose again, but anything can happen this Sunday when they welcome in Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. Houston is currently riding a 7-game winning streak and has clinched the first playoff berth in team history. Despite losing their top defensive player, and starting quarterback, the Texans have managed to put it all together at the most important time of the season. With Matt Schaub and Andre Johnson out of the lineup, Houston will again rely on a running back, Arian Foster, to carry this offense. Foster should rush for 2 touchdowns and at least 125 yards in a favoring win. Texans 32, Panthers 16. At 3:05 Central Time on Fox, it's Detroit at Oakland. These are 2 penalty-prone clubs, but the Lions will likely get a more disciplined performance out of Sue, and the rest of the squad should rebound from their close call against the Vikings last week. The Raiders' defense will need to contain the Lions' running game, which is due for a breakout after 2 subpar performances. This game will likely hinge on the performances of wide receivers Hayward, Bay, and Moore, and if Palmer can take advantage of a banged-up Lions secondary, expect the Lions offense to outperform the Raiders in the second half shootout. Lions 28, Raiders 24. At 3:15 Central Time on CBS, it's the New York Jets at Philadelphia. Left for dead 2 weeks ago in Seattle, the Eagles revived their season with a 16-point road win at Miami, and assuming all offensive hands, Vic and Jackson, are physically and mentally on deck, they provide a difficult matchup for a Jets team without an injured defensive captain. Now that Reed's job security may be hanging by a playoff berth thread, it will be interesting to see how his dream team responds to the no margin for error scenario. It says here that they will pass test number 1. Eagles 27, Jets 23. At 3:15 Central Time on CBS, it's Cleveland at Arizona. Though the odds are against them, even a remote chance at the playoffs has to have the Cardinals excited about this matchup against the struggling Browns. Wisnant is right to have his troops looking solely at this game, and not that what the rest of the league is doing, and the Cardinals should have their heads up high afterwards. A healthy dose of Wells and Fitzgerald should be enough to overcome the Browns' solid play on defense. And Cleveland just isn't scoring enough on offense to be competitive. A defensive struggle may favor Cleveland, but it is likely that Arizona will put up enough points to win. Cardinals 24, Browns 14. At 3:15 Central Time on CBS, it's New England at Denver. The Patriots have a string of wins over good teams like the Jets and Cowboys, as well as others against preseason favorites such as San Diego and Philadelphia. Meanwhile, the Broncos edged a pair of common foes the past 2 weeks and took a 35-point home passing against a potential postseason squad in Detroit prior to the current run. Considering this is still Brady versus Tebow, it's likely a lot more like this game will be no contest. In fact, the true Tebow miracle this week will be keeping Denver within 2 scores. Patriots 31, Broncos 14. At 7:20 Central Time on NBC, it's Baltimore at San Diego on Sunday Night Football. A pair of teams who also finished strong to make for an exciting matchup this Sunday night. Both clubs have plenty to play for and are very similar in both terms of offense. Matthews and Rice are both playmakers, with the latter probably holding the edge. While Rivers is likely to make more plays with his arm than Flacco, that means the difference could come down to defense, where Baltimore excels and can force Rivers into making some of the same mistakes that have led him leading the AFC in interceptions. Ravens 24, Chargers 20. And finally concluding Week 15, the 2011 through 2012 NFL regular season schedule, it's Pittsburgh at San Francisco at 7:30 Central Time on Monday Night Football. This is the first meeting between these teams since Pittsburgh's 37-16 home victory in 2007. They last played in San Francisco in 2003, a game which the 49ers won 30-14. Roethlisberger, who played through a broken thumb earlier this season, has not missed a start due to injury since a concussion sidelined him against Baltimore in 2009 through 2010. He sat out the first 4 games of the 2010 through 2011 regular season after violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. The Steelers went 3-1 in his absence, with Dennis Dixon and Batch splitting the snaps. While Roethlisberger's status is not certain, that's not the case for Harrison, who got a 1-game suspension from the NFL for his helmet-to-helmet hit on Browns quarterback Colt McCoy. Though Harrison has not been fined for a hit in more than a year, he was considered a repeat offender under the 2011 through 2012 league policies for players manual, leading to the suspension. Harrison appealed the decision, but the NFL denied it on Friday, citing his history of flagrant hits. This was his 5th on a quarterback. Harrison has 8 sacks despite missing a month with a fractured right orbital bone and dealing with persistent back issues. The Steelers' defense has given up 19 total points in the last 3 games, and Pittsburgh managed to go 4-0 during his earlier absence. With all that being said, the Steelers are in a tight NFL playoff race, and nothing is more frightening than the Steelers being without linebacker James Harrison when they visit the postseason-bound San Francisco 49ers on Monday Night Football. 49ers 23, Steelers 19. That concludes my second part of 2 in the 2011 through 2012 NFL regular season schedule Week 15 picks. Enjoy the weekend.